This is not breaking news. This is not a scandal. This is not about one person. What you're about to hear is a quiet yet incredibly dangerous systemic failure. One so insidious, it operates unnoticed by most. But once you see it, you will recognize it everywhere. It's already here, and it's already working. You just haven't realized what it will cost. Because what happened this morning inside a federal courtroom wasn't just an isolated incident. It wasn't a simple exchange between a judge and a defendant. No, what happened is something far deeper, more terrifying, and more urgent than you've been told. It didn't make headlines, but it should have. Because this is the moment the system pushed to its very edge. And the consequences, they're coming. But right now, you're in a critical position. Do you stay and watch as the truth unfolds? Or do you ignore what's happening, waiting for someone else to pull the curtain back? Let's step inside the courtroom. What controls the system now? It's not the people you see in the headlines. It's not the personalities or the sound bites. That's the illusion. No, what drives the system is something far more dangerous, something far less visible, the unchecked authority embedded in the very institutions meant to protect us. Behind the courtroom doors, in the shadows of media cycles and political theater, the machinery of power hums away unnoticed. And right now, that machinery is feeding off an undercurrent of defiance, an unspoken challenge to the very bedrock of judicial integrity. But this isn't about personalities, not about Trump, not about any one individual. This is about the fundamental erosion of our legal system. It's a system that's meant to uphold order, to preserve fairness, to guarantee justice. But what happens when that system is no longer respected? What happens when those bound by the law no longer believe the law applies to them? Let's take a closer look. For years, this change has been creeping in. Slow, subtle, unnoticed by many, normalized by those who benefit from it. Before, there were lines, clear ones, unquestioned authority from judges, unchallenged rules in courtrooms, and an assumption that the law applied equally to everyone. But now, that's not what we see. The shift didn't happen overnight. It never does. It was small at first, disruptions here, defiant gestures there, a whisper, a post, a tweet. But each time, the line blurred a little more. The expectations of decorum were ignored. The threats to the system, they were waved away, brushed off as just noise. But noise grows louder. A whisper becomes a shout. A defiant statement becomes an open challenge. And soon, the system isn't just being pushed, it's being tested. And make no mistake, what's unfolding now, it's the breaking point. The system's been shaken, and what happens next will determine whether it stands or crumbles. Then came the moment, sharp, unmistakable, a concrete shock that rattled the entire courtroom. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate, calculated move. Trump defendant, former president, stood up. He didn't whisper to his lawyer. He didn't scribble a note on a pad. No. This time, he spoke out loud, directly to the witness stand. That's a complete lie, he said. A total fabrication. Everyone in this room knows it. The room froze. Lawyers stopped writing. Eyes darted to the judge. Cameras leaned in. Judge Angoron, calm, measured, did what any judge should in that moment. He did not hesitate. He didn't let the disruption slide. No, he made it clear there would be consequences. You will not speak unless you are addressed, he said, his voice cutting through the tension. But what happened next? Trump didn't retreat. He escalated. What happened inside that courtroom wasn't about a single outburst or an impulsive reaction. It wasn't about a momentary loss of composure. No, it was about testing the limits of authority, a deliberate provocation designed to provoke a response, to push the system to its edge. And it worked. Judge Angoron responded immediately, but not with emotion, not with anger. He responded with cold precision. He issued not one warning, but three escalating commands, each one firmer than the last. And here's where things get critical. This wasn't just about a defendant acting out of line. This was about something far deeper, something systemic. Because the system isn't just designed to uphold order. It's designed to times enforce, times order, even when it's being challenged. And in that room, with every word Trump spoke, Judge Angoron was doing just that, enforcing order. Behind the scenes, Trump's attorneys were scrambling, but they weren't addressing the disruption. They were mitigating the fallout. What does that tell you? The tension escalated quick, sharp. Trump didn't back down. He didn't sit down when told. He stood, arms crossed, defiant. The judge warned again, then again, and still nothing. That's when it hit asterisk, asterisk, detention, asterisk, asterisk. The word reverberated through the courtroom. The stakes had just changed. It wasn't just about civility anymore. It was about control, about power, about whether the law would bend or break. Trump, unmoved, remained standing, his posture a challenge, his silence an affront. The room's atmosphere was thick with it. Attorneys at the bench nervously whispering, trying to figure out how far this would go. Meanwhile, Trump stood, testing the boundaries of the court's authority, fully aware of what he was risking. And then, just when it seemed like the tension couldn't reach a higher pitch, his own lawyer intervened, but it was too late. The die had been cast. Now, let's talk about you. Imagine, for a moment, the stakes of this situation. A courtroom in chaos, a judge poised to enforce the law with an iron grip, and in the midst of it all, a defendant who just happens to be a former president, refusing to comply with the very system designed to keep order. What does that mean for you, the citizen, watching this unfold? Your trust in the system, your understanding of what justice should look like. What happens when that trust is shaken? When the man who once held the highest office in the land tests the boundaries of the very legal system that governs us all? This isn't just about one man. It's about times you asterisk. What happens when the laws that are supposed to protect you, to preserve fairness, are no longer respected by those who should be held to the highest standard? This moment, this disruption, isn't just personal. It's institutional. It's foundational. And it's happening right now. It didn't stop there. What happened in that courtroom didn't stay in that courtroom. Because this wasn't just about one trial, one moment in a single legal proceeding. This was about the ripple effect, the wave that spread far beyond the walls of that federal courtroom. This is no longer just a local story. It's international, global. What happens in one courtroom doesn't only affect the people involved, it affects the perception of justice worldwide. And as the world watches quietly, perhaps unseen by many, it begins to ask the same question. Asterisk. Can this happen in their system too? Asterisk. The ripples spread. The precedent is set. Every time a court's authority is challenged, it sends a signal. Not just to the legal system, but to the entire world. And what is that signal? That the rules we once took for granted, rules that govern the balance of power, might not hold anymore? What comes next? There are three possible paths. First, asterisk, asterisk, adjustment, asterisk, asterisk. The system recalibrates. The institutions flex but don't break. We see new rules enforced, but the integrity of the judicial process remains intact. It's a moment of crisis, but it's contained. The system holds steady. Second, asterisk, asterisk, erosion, asterisk, asterisk. Slowly, the damage deepens. The challenge to authority becomes a pattern, more accepted, more normalized. The legal system falters as its boundaries blur, and we watch as the line between right and wrong becomes less distinguishable. The erosion is gradual, but irreversible. And third, asterisk, asterisk, rupture, asterisk, asterisk. Complete collapse. The system breaks down. If the disruption continues unpunished and unaddressed, the consequences are far worse than anyone anticipates. The fracture is permanent, and the entire structure shifts. Which will it be? Right now, we don't know. But the path we take starts today. This isn't over, not by a long shot. What happens next will set the course for everything that follows. Because right now, the system is under pressure, but it hasn't broken yet. Not yet. But it's teetering. And here's the critical point. Trump has tested the limits. He's pushed as far as he can. But what if he continues? What if the defiance doesn't stop here? What if this moment becomes just one chapter in a much larger confrontation? This is bigger than one trial. It's a test of whether the rule of law holds or cracks under the weight of its challenges. Will the legal system stand firm, or will it bend in the face of chaos? This is your wake-up call. The system is under strain, and it's up to us to decide what happens next. But one thing is clear. The courtroom held today, but tomorrow, it could be different. Keep watching, because the stakes are only getting higher.